Today, our speaker is Ehab, and Ehab is our director of training for Middle East. So currently, he's based in Lebanon, Beirut. So we are glad to have Ehab. Ehab, are you on camera? Let me see.
Thank you. Yeah, I am.
Oh, great. So that is Mr.
Yeah.
Ehab. So I'm going to pass the time over to Ehab. Ehab is the not only is he the director of training for CNA in Middle East, for Middle East, sorry, he's also the owner of Interactive Business Skill, a consulting arms and also a training arm. So he's going to share with us something that is very practical, that is how to build your personal branding. As we mentioned in our training, there are two very important components. Number one is your coaching skills. Okay, this is what you use to serve your client. And the second one is coaching practice. And one of the coaching practice is how are you going to find your client? So one part of that requires you to be able to attract your clients. In other words, before you can reach out to your clients, how can clients reach out to you? How do they find out what you can offer? And if you do offer that, what is a unique selling point for your service? So with that in mind, you can't run away talking about your personal branding. So we are very glad to have Ihad today to share with us how you can build your personal branding. So now I pass the time over to you, Ihad.
Thank you, Ben, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. As Ben introduced, we'll be covering today the personal branding. I tried to gather the various resources that we have on the subject just to make it as rich as possible. And most importantly, make sure that we base it on our coaching profession. So if you allow me, I will start the presentation now, and please feel free whenever you have a question. Let's design our session. Would you prefer that when you have a question we stop and answer the question, or would you like us to keep it on specific intervals? No?
As you wish.
Okay, so I'll go on with the presentation and try to stop on various intervals to see if there is any question that you would like us to dwell on. Okay. So is everybody able to see the screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Great. So the point or the subject of our discussion today is going to be building your personal branding. As you will see as we go on, the crux and the main platform of this approach is actually building the essence behind your brand, and rather than strategies of how to communicate it, because there are various strategies how to communicate and how to move in the future. I'm sure all of us will connect to the material, because as you will see here, the main criteria for building a brand is our values and life purpose, which I'm sure everybody is quite familiar with the concept. So what we intend to share during this webinar is how you can apply steps that will allow you to step out and cut the clutter. At the end of the day, we as coaches, and as you know, for example, in the ICF, there are more than 30,000 coaches across, and all of us operate in certain markets, and our main objective is to stand out and reach to our clients. So in order for us to stand out, there are many areas that are important for us to watch out for, and actually if we do them with a clear notion, then we will be able to reach out for our target segment and make an impact. And it's very important while we're discussing this is to keep in mind that our objective is to make an impact. So it is about defining our unique skills and capitalizing on our strengths, weaken our weaknesses, translate our values, articulate our passion, define our niche, and then build our brand with the intended impact. After the brand is already established, or we are ready to launch our brand, definitely we have to set our own standards. And this is one of the subjects we're going to discuss of claiming our worth, our net worth. Then reaching out to our clients and definitely monetizing our assets. So how we're going to go about today is we're going to cover various topics: stepping out and standing out, stepping up and standing out, the relativity to coaches, why personal branding is relative to us. We're going to touch base on what's branding swiftly, just to make sure that we are all aligned. And we're going to cover the core steps for personal branding and see how it all falls down into the life purpose. And then how we're going to reach out and monetize our assets. Okay, so as you know, it's in today's market, it's very tough to stand out. Okay, there is a lot of buzz around, even in our profession, because it depends on the market that you are in. But in some markets, the coaching profession is quite mature, and there are quite of abundance of professional coaches offering their services. Now, the idea is not to mix up our target segment and be able to reach out and make sure that our message is clear. So practically, your brand is your reputation. It's your calling card. Okay, it is actually what the people once they hear of our brand, and most of our coaches develop personal brand, which is related to their names. Okay, it is immediately, it will give a notion of how will people know you and what experience you carry. So practically, your personal branding is the combination of your expertise, your experience, your values, and your personality. It is everything that makes you you, actually. Okay, but it's very important that to understand the brand is not everything about us. Other people have a little limited capacity to remember everything about us. So it is very important that we follow a focused approach. So we strategically choose the set of attributes that will make us attractive to our target market. So yes, we can say that the branding or our personal brand is a holistic approach of what we represent, our values, our strength, and everything. However, we have to make sure that our brand is actually based on our core attributes and our core values, and not the totality of it. So as we say, image is everything. Now, how does it relate for us as coaches? If we develop the right image, okay, and we have the right message to reach out to our target market, okay, first of all, it will allow us proper positioning. Okay, so proper positioning, that means we stand out in what we really represent for the market, and we can represent what's the added value that we can deliver to our clients. The clients immediately, as we develop awareness, as we develop the right image for our brand, our clients will immediately recall what do we provide for them. Second would be cutting the clutter. As we have mentioned before, it is to make sure that our voice is heard in the market, okay, rather than spending lots of marketing money left, right, and center, okay, competing with possibly niches or segments that we are not even targeting. Okay, as much as we are focused, as much as we will be able to know where to place our dollar value and how we are going to reach out and approach our customers in the most efficient and effective way. Third, how it relates to our profession is that we communicate with impact. Okay, the last thing that we want is to reach and have an accidental impression. That means leaving our perception in the market to be interpreted by different clients differently. what we need is to have the right impact, which is based on the real value and passion that we would like to reach our clients with. And what we call it's best to communicate with an intended impression rather than leave it to be an accidental and haphazard message to reach. So in that we will cover that when we talk about the focused messaging. And above all is to enhance the marketing effort. What we like to have is when we have a proper personal branding approach, it will allow us to have a upgraded marketing effort, because it will allow us to have a better return on every step that we do in our marketing approach, whether we are talking about social media or even our website. As you will see, that there are some key elements for your website to be effective. So enhancing our marketing effort would translate itself with more conversions of our clients reaching out for us, and converging the leads from being only top line leads to actually translate them to bottom line leads. So before we dwell further, it's just we go quickly on discussing branding. Before I go to this section, is there any question? Is there anybody who would like to inquire about any point that we have covered? Okay, so I will move on with the second section, which is branding. So as we say, our brand is reflects our image, and image is everything. Before we can move forwards with that, it's important to discuss three different things. There is the brand essence, which is the core of your brand, what you are trying to represent. And since we are talking about personal branding, it is related to the core, the DNA, the core message that we are trying excuse me, the core message that we are trying to get across to our clients. So it is very important that we start with the brand essence before we try to position or try to reach the platform where we want to place our brand for, so that it can reflect the perception. So the DNA is when we break down the brand to its core elements, okay, and we understand what are the most important elements or attributes that we want to reflect within our brand. Once we map this out, we can then move to the second stage, which is positioning our brand. And positioning our brand is highly related to our target segment. So it is very important that we know the segment that we want to speak to, who our target clients exactly, and what kind of message really appeals to them in relation to the core criteria that has been set in our DNA. And at this point, it is very important that we draft exactly what is the intended perception, what is the intended kind of perception we wanted in our client's mind, so that we maintain consistency in our messaging. The third step is actually, once we finalize the brand positioning after the brand essence, is the actual branding. And actual branding is here when we go on mixing between the advertising world and the media world. This is where we construct our messages based on the intended perception. Okay, and this is how we start reaching out for our clients through proper messages. It depends which medium you are using. But if we talk about the website, then it is website design. If we talk about social media, it is the design of the messages, the visuals that you will combine with your content. And if we are going to talk about awareness, this is where we start mixing with the media platforms, where we can talk about reach and the frequency of our messages to the clients. So as we want to create more awareness, this means we, and after we figure out our target market, how does it behave, what kind of mediums they use, then our awareness is actually reaching out and placing the right marketing effort in order to reach our client. It's important at this step to say that it is not only about how much you spend, and let me put it in another way. This point does not mean that if you spend more, you are going to be more efficient and more effective. Okay, it is very important that once we analyze our target market and we understand how effectively we can reach them. For example, some people or some of us might have a certain segment that is geared towards the executive level, for example. And you might find that the best way to interact with them possibly is, for example, LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm just mentioning this as an example. Okay, so effectively, if you go and spend all your budgets on Facebook and other platforms, you might not reach and you might not be as effective. Now, other people might be targeting youth or targeting the young generation, for example. So most probably your Facebook is the key medium. So once you want to go into awareness, it's very important that you have your target segment in mind. So how does this relate to personal branding? It is what people talk about you when you are not in the room. Excuse me. And I'm sorry, I'm just getting out of the final stages of flu. So practically, personal branding is what people will talk about you when you are not in the room, which is practically your image, the perception that is left in the minds of people. Let me give you share with you something I read on the ICF magazine, where they shared an example where a company, and this proves our point when we are talking about the importance of personal branding. A company requested coaches for 25 top executives. 9 ICF coaches applied. 2 were selected by 16 of these participants. So 16 out of 25. 16 out of 25 participants requested to be coached by the same 2 coaches. Okay, now why is that? It is because the participants actually, after they received the bios and after they received the proposal from the HR department, okay, giving them a brief about the coaches, what they did is they actually went online and researched all the 9 ICF coaches who applied for this. Okay, and because these 2 gentlemen or gentleman and lady, I don't have the exact details, what I know is that these 2 were standing out in their personal branding properly. They had the right website in place. They were highly visible, okay, online, and the participants all were geared to select these 2. So marketing in brief, marketing is the tool to provide you reach. Yes. Okay. So when we talk about marketing, that means the mix between advertising and media. However, what's most important is the main components of your personal branding, which is the most important is how to build your personal brand in a way that would really stand out like these two coaches out of the 9. Okay. It's not because they were visible online and it was easy to reach them only. It was because, as you know, some people or most of the people are not having time to read much details. Okay, so it was very important for these 2 coaches. If we analyze their presence, it reflects that their message is clear, and this is what the people behind it reported, that these 2 provided clear message about their added value, okay, about their previous experience, and it really stood out for the participants. Okay, so now it is time for us to go into the core steps for personal branding. I would like to just pause for a few seconds and ask if there is anybody who would like to, if there's anybody who have any inquiry or any question at this point. Okay, 1 second. Let me see if I can see anybody of you. Can just somebody give me a sign that everything is clear or that you're actually hearing me?
Yes, we are, Ihab, hearing you.
Okay,
it's all clear.
Perfect. Because I got worried because of the silence, that's why. Okay, great. Thank you all. Okay, so let's go into the core steps for personal branding. See, now we're going to go technically. As we said, the most important thing before talking of how to reach to our target clients and how to reach out is really to stand out. And to stand out, actually, giving all factors equal base. For example, if we are communicating the same like any other coach, or we are present and having websites like any other coach, the most important thing to stand out is what does our personal brand offer, and what is the added value that we represent to our clients. So the core steps for us to proceed is first, everything starts with a plan, as you can see. So the personal brand experience is the opportunity to learn more about ourselves. So what my advice is that when you start this exercise, or when you are advising somebody to start this exercise, it's actually to think of it as we say, as a real journey of self-exploration. It's not only about doing it fast and the outcome is just to put something in place and to be visible through our website or our communication. It's a one-time exercise that, if done correctly, it will give you the intended impact, okay, that you want. And I stress the word impact because this is what we want to do as coaches, is actually to deliver a clear message and deliver impact, sustainable impact with our clients. So if you look at this as an internal journey, it will allow you to know yourself better before you represent your personal brand. So as mentioned earlier, we're gonna talk about soaring our strengths. That means capitalizing on our strengths, weakening our weaknesses, okay, because the last thing you want is to make your weaknesses visible. Tapping on our values and pursuing our passions, and last but not the least is defining our purpose. So capitalizing on our strengths. How shall we capitalize on our strengths? People with strong brands are clear about who they are. They know and maximize their strengths. So if you go and research, all the people that you see are quite visible in your own domain. Okay, if you read the research, what's behind their strong image, if you look deeply, you are gonna see the core elements that we're gonna discuss today. They are going to stand out for you. That these are the core elements which stand behind every successful personal brand. So for us to start about it is I would recommend that you start by looking at yourself, okay, and start with the first question is, what's my most compelling strength? Okay, so these set of questions that you see here are what we need to ask ourselves in order for us to reach a point where we know our total strength. We put them on our files, okay, and start analyzing. And as we said, it's a journey to know ourselves. So it starts with knowing our strength. So first, what's our compelling strength? Second, what are the skills that I have to master? So in order for me to reach my objectives, all right, what are the skills I need to master? What are the skills that I need to perfect? And this will take you on a journey to know which skills are essential to you and how you rate on these skills as well. It will also lead you to the third question, which is the skills that you are missing. So once you start reflecting on the skills, you will see what are the skills intended, which ones you need to master, which ones that you need to develop, and actually which skills that you require actually to deliver the impact you intend, but unfortunately at this point you do not have. And as we say, everything is possible. So as long as it's visible for us, as long as we know it, we can start working on it. But before we know it, and before we know that we require the skill, we will not know what's our development plan. And also it will allow, excuse me, anybody is saying? Okay, so also it will allow us to outline the strengths that others acknowledge us for. So you need to ask yourself, after you ask yourself internally about the skills that you would like to have, or what you are required to have, or what you are currently having, is also ask yourself, what are the strengths okay, that others acknowledge me for. Okay, so after that step to complete capitalizing on our strengths, we go to the next step, which is validating. So the first step would be documenting. The second step is validating. How do others experience our strength? So if we have outlined certain skills or certain strengths that we have, it is now important for us to see and check with our immediate circle. If we have the chance, that would be great, to see how do others see those strengths in us. Okay, would our immediate circle agree to such an assessment? Now, why it's important to validate? It's important that whenever we are doing a certain step in this exercise, is actually if we can validate with the people around us. Okay, it will allow us to actually have a checkpoint and know exactly. It's a kind of a verification before we go and investing more time. So my advice, if you have people close in your circle, in your community, in our CMA community as well, is to verify those strengths before you move forward. Sorry. The third step would be actually activating, and by following the 3 C's steps: clarification, communication, and capitalizing, to ensure that you have a good game plan to maximize your strength as part of your day-to-day action. So clarification is knowing our strength. That means after we do all of the previous steps, is we put them on a kind of a table, okay, where we can list our strength, okay, and clarify our strengths and put some details about how do we see it from our perspective and the perspective of others. Second is to communicate these strengths. So communication on paper or online. All right. Now, before we do that, definitely this is a step that we shall take into account, but we are going to reflect it at the end after we continue the complete exercise. But the idea is to know and to put on paper, if I am going to use these strengths, how I'm going to communicate them. Okay. And the third thing is to outline in the same exercise that if I'm going to use this strength, this point, is actually what would be the opportunity for me to reflect that, is to ask ourselves, what would be the opportunity to use this strength? Because as you know, you might have a list of 10 strengths that you will not possibly use all these 10. You might capitalize and keep on sharpening until you reach the core 3 or 4 that you want. And each one of them has its specific and unique area to use it. Any questions on the core strength? Okay, so we move on weakening the weaknesses. So it's a kind of a similar exercise. However, it's kind of an opposite. It is having a personal check-in with ourselves about certain development areas, okay, which we actually want to have it clear for us, okay, but the intention is not to make it visible for others, because as you know, you don't want to delay your communication. You don't want to delay your efforts until you develop those areas. So what you want is to make them less visible and start working on them for sure, okay, but also this will allow you to gain time and stand out based on your strength when you are in the market. So for example, even Superman has his kryptonite. Okay, so even the what we call the most powerful person or character that we have definitely has his weaknesses. So all of us have development areas or certain weaknesses. So how do we go about this exercise? So in this step, what we need to do is ask ourselves. The most important thing is awareness. As all of us, especially in CMA, we know how important awareness is. So it's very important for us to have personal awareness, okay, on such weaknesses. The second step is after we have ask ourselves this question and have gained some awareness about what our weaknesses are, is to ask ourselves, what's most likely to cause me to give up? So this means what could be the cases or what could be the areas that will push me out of my path? Okay, this is another area which will allow us to know the causes behind us not having a complete commitment or actually backing up on certain areas. The third step is identifying or shortlisting 3 weaknesses which we would like to overcome. Okay, so after the list of these weaknesses is to shortlist which are the 3 that may hinder us or we would like to overcome. Fourth is the least successful project. Now, why do we say that you need to ask yourself and reflect on previous projects that were not successful? It is because sometimes when we ask ourselves directly about the weaknesses that we have, it is not directly visible to us. The best way for us to understand our possible shortcomings is where we reflect to an actual job or a project that we have done, and we reflect on the outcome. And if you use one of the projects that you are not necessarily satisfied with, it will give you some answers about areas, development areas that you need. Okay. Another area to how to look at certain weaknesses, okay, and make them more visible, is try to ask yourselves what are the roles that you are relaxed with and what are roles that you are not relaxed with in your life or in your career. Because asking yourself about certain roles that you have passed by or you have seen and you want to avoid will give you a little bit of an idea about why you tend to avoid such roles. So the next step is to actually validate again. So as we said, if you have a close circle or somebody you trust, you can verify these weaknesses with. It is important that you do in order for you to see that if you have the right assessment about yourself. Okay, it will give you an idea if anybody else has identified this weakness before in you. Were you able to see exactly how, and by the way, this is important because this will also allow you to know what's important to mention here is to allow you to know how people perceive you as well in certain areas. Okay. So here are four areas, and there are lots more. I'm just mentioning these 4 areas just to provide a certain guidance on how to move with this step. But validation, as we said, it will allow you to see if your assessment in that area is correct and where you want to focus your energy. So in order to activate this step, in this phase, we recommend the 3 M's, which is mitigate, manage, and master. So in order for you to move forwards and ensure that you have a good plan to weaken your weaknesses, the first step is mitigate. Minimize the impact of your weaknesses by choosing fields or projects that do not require these skills. As we said, and it's clear now that we are not saying that you need to avoid, okay, or run away from these weaknesses. No, what we are saying is that in order not to lose time, okay, start choosing fields or areas, okay, that do not require the skills you want to sharpen at this point. And what we recommend in parallel is you start working on these skills and you start developing these skills in parallel. The second step would be manage. Focus only on those weaknesses that may be holding you back from achieving your goals. So, in brief, if you have shortlisted, let's say 10 weakness areas, okay, possibly these weaknesses you would require them in different areas in your life. But at this point, when we say manage, that means focus on those weaknesses that are directly related to your goal. Other weaknesses can wait because they are not as important as those weaknesses. And then master. Master, that means seize the opportunity, every opportunity you have, and actually not seize an opportunity, but actually put a plan to master these top weaknesses, which are affecting you to reach your goal. Okay, so mitigate, that means select your battles, select the areas that you want to engage, which do not have these weaknesses involved or do not require those skills that you want to develop. Manage, focus on the areas or the weaknesses that you want to develop. which are directly related to your goal, and then master them, which means put a plan to develop these weaknesses and do not let it out of your sight. Put it clearly visible for you to move forward. Okay. Just to check in with you, is there anybody who has any question, or are you okay with the way I'm proceeding with this presentation before we go into tapping to your values?
All good, Ihab.
Yeah, we are
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I hope that I'm not going too fast, but the presentation is around 40 slides, so I'm trying to make sure that we have enough time to talk at the end. So we step into tapping on our values, and we as coaches, we all understand the importance of values, and I'm sure everybody connects to the process that we are proceeding here. Values are our compass. Okay, as we all know, values is the platform that guides our actions. So it's very important that if we really want to actually really cut the clutter and our message to be clear and direct, is, as we say, is to be passionate about it. And for us to be passionate about it is it has to stand on our core values. Okay, because this is where you will know that you will be coaching and delivering services from your actual core, from your inside. Okay, so think of your values as your personal compass, and make sure that you have a clear idea about the set of values that you want to communicate. Okay, because they will give a direction about not only your behavior, but it will give you a direction of your communication and how you want to set your values across to your clients. So tapping into your values. I'm sure our participants from Lebanon will enjoy the scaling here, because they have been practicing on the scaling a lot. The first step we will start with is actually to list your top 5 values. Okay, and among all your values is to really verify, after you list all your values, is to verify with yourselves and select the top 5 values that you really believe that these are your driving force to move forward. The second point is not only after you shortlist your values, is actually to try to make a description and define those values. Okay, it's important for every person of us not only to see it at the top level, but also to really understand what really lies behind the value that he holds. Okay, at this point, I would also recommend that we go on scaling those values. And scaling all those values is for us to really see with ourselves that if we say and we believe that these values are lie in our core, and these are the core values that we would like to share as part of our message and communicate with the world, actually, because we're going to stand out in our message across the world, not only to specific segments specifically when we go online. It's very important for us to check in with ourselves if we are actually living those values to the fullest. So I'm sure everybody is clear about scaling. So here it's a scale of 1 to 5, where it will indicate 1, I'm really not living this value, or 5, I live this value so constantly. Okay, so consistently. Excuse me. So once you scale the values, you will be able to know which values that you need to bring more in your life. And based on the definition, it will allow you to know how you can put it more constructively in your life. Now, at this step is activation. And when we say activation here, we didn't say yet to communicate with anybody. It's activation with yourself. Okay. That's one interesting point to share with you is that studies show that 33% more likely to commit to something once you put it on pen and paper. So if we do this exercise, no matter how conscious about what we have in our minds, once we put it on a pen and paper, okay, studies show that it is 33% more chance that we will abide by what we put. So I recommend at this point is once you do the scaling, okay, and you see which values you are not living or you are not abiding by as you would love to, is actually you list it here in such a table, okay, and you set an action plan to yourself how you would like to live this value more, and definitely abide and commit to this plan. Okay, so after doing the value exercise, okay, definitely we need to pursue our passions, and the values are the set of platform that we stand on, but our passions are what fuel our actions. Okay, so when we integrate our passions into what we do, we would be more engaged, and it will create more power within us and more enthusiasm. Okay, to give us a driving force in order for us to move forwards. So at this point, what we recommend in this exercise is that you will have the opportunity to step back and think about your own passions, how you can integrate them in what you do, and how you can connect them with your career goals. It is important to know what makes you tick positively, okay, if I may say. Most importantly, what motivates you. And once you know what motivates you, you will be able to put it embedded in your total plan. In as we said, for example, let me go back a little bit. When we said about the weaknesses, we mentioned that what is recommended is you avoid the fields or the projects which require skills that you need to develop. Okay, in this case, it's a total opposite. When you are passionate about something, what is advisable is to surround yourself with all the elements that will make you even more passionate about it, because it will give you more a driving force. Okay. So in order to start documenting your passions, these are recommended questions that will allow you to start setting the pace for you to understand your passions further. So for example, what would I do with my summer if money weren't an issue? Okay, so if there is no constraint, for example, what would you do if you didn't have this financial constraint? What are my favorite activities, for example? What type of people I'm drawn to? What kind of stories in the news always capture my interest? Now, if you see all of these questions, okay, are, again, if you look what's beyond the words, it will show you it's a kind of reflection of what motivates you. Sorry. So as we said that motivation is what will also fuel your passion, and your passion is what will fuel your action. Now, in order for you to move forwards in that is you go step by step, and you go on distilling, validating, and activating. Now, in the distill is once you know, and this is most important, is when you answer these questions. If you know why you are passionate about what you are passionate about, you can figure out how to infuse that in your day-to-day activities. So it is very important that after you list that, is to know why you are passionate about that list. Okay, so whatever comes up to you in this stage, it's very important to know why you are passionate, what are the reasons for you, what is the driving force for your passion towards it, so that you are able to know how you will put it into your life. Okay. Definitely validation is always a step that is recommended. As we said, it will allow you to see, does it really show for others as well, and definitely your trusted others, if does it really show that you are passionate in that area, and does your passion reflect as it should? Okay, so after you have capitalized on your strengths, after you have identified the development areas, and after you have outlined your core values and had a clear idea about what you are passionate about, okay, it is very important that you mix all of these elements and you look at the driving force of your life, which is life purpose. Now, as we all know, at the end of the day, all what we are doing, the steps, we have to narrow them down into one core area, which will allow us to actually start building on, which is the core and the DNA of our brand. Okay, so defining our life purpose, or the driving force of our life, is by answering a core question: why I'm here. And this question most probably has been possibly the most asked question in life since creation. Okay, it's very important that we explore our purpose, okay, by reflecting what has been important to us, who is on this journey with us, what are we doing to fuel our passion, what are we working towards, what have we accomplished so far, and where are we headed next. Okay, so by combining and having a clear idea about our values and our passions and our purpose, we are able to reach our life purpose statement, okay, which is our as we say, a summary of our vision, long-term vision into the future. Any questions so far? Okay, so at this point, we talk about building our brand and making an impact. So to build our brand, it is important that we also take one element after we mix everything and we have our core DNA, which is our life purpose, our core DNA to dress up our brand around. So it's life purpose surrounded with our values and passions in life. Okay, create the total package for the core elements that we want to build our messages. It is very important that we take into consideration the end result as an impact on society into place. Okay, it is very important that, as you see, most of the research done around the brands that had really stood out in a relatively short time, okay, are brands which had a story to tell about impacting society. Okay, so it is very important, if you are able to reflect what impact you would like to have on this world, and ask yourself as a checkpoint before you move forward is, who would you be being by abiding by that message, or when you are really reaching out and actually making that impact. Okay, who would you be truly being? What, if standing in that position, what would be you saying yes for, and what would you be saying no for? These are very important questions for you to ask yourselves before moving forwards with that. And if you are satisfied with the answers that you get at this, then definitely you will be in the right place and having the message that will deliver the impact that you would be passionate about. So we've covered this by saying that by having our strengths, our values, our passions and purpose and our goals well defined, we will be having a clear idea and a clear agenda of how we would like to move forwards, and we would have defined the core elements that we want our message to stand on. As we said, advertising, that means design, or even media, which is the mediums you want to communicate with your target population, is very important. Okay, however, it is not as important as the true content. There are many studies now, if I may share this with you, there are many studies now done after the hype of the social media and everybody jumping to spend left, right, and center. Now there is certain research being done to advise people, okay, before they jump in and start shooting their messages left, right, and center, so actually to start looking at the content. So what is more important about being there and just throwing yourself on the online platform is actually to ask yourself, what is the richness of the content? What is the consistency of the content that I'm presenting? And in the context of what we are discussing, the content that you have in your personal brand reflects back to your core message, reflects back to having a consistent message across the board, across all your messages that you would like to share with everybody. and it is as consistent as you have defined your values and you have defined your life purpose. The last thing you want is for people to see you promising different messages and or actually delivering different messages to them where it is not your actual intent, because this is actually where people will gonna reach out to you, and unfortunately you might, someone might fail on delivering that because this was not the intended message that you wanted to show. Other than that, if people see mixed signals, okay, this is the point where they will have doubt about the person behind this personal brand, and this is where people will lose out and not contact you. So what's next? At this point, if we have done all of these steps, identifying the core strengths, identifying the skills and development areas that we want, have outlined our values and our passions, drafted our life purpose. At this point, I would say you would be ready to put yourself in the market and to start developing your communication plan and reflect your true essence. So we've covered those two elements. Reaching out. For us to, as we are ready now, the most important thing is to start reaching out now on our domain. Okay, it is categorized under the services domain, and more studies are reflecting that a big percentage of our target clients are actually looking online to find experts in the field. As we mentioned earlier, out of the 9 coaches, okay, only 2 were actually highly requested by people. Why? Because those participants researched their presence, researched their content, research who they are, what do they deliver, and those 2 coaches actually stood out. Okay, so what is the first thing they will see when they go online? They will see possibly the website and the social media that you are interacting with. Okay, now it's very important that before you dwell on your website and your social media, to understand when you are talking to the agency or the advertising agency who is doing your website and social media, is that there's no best way that fits all. Okay, it is related mainly to knowing the behavior of your target market. Okay, and most importantly, the power of your content, how you apply your expertise. What I recommend is you look at these 2 elements before you even touch or sit down with any agency to develop your communication platform. Okay, again, as we said, it is your segment. So once you define your niche, you define your segment that you want to communicate with, the target population in the market that you would love to have as part of your client base. Once you define those, and once you have exactly defined your true essence and the DNA of your brand, you will be able to start dressing up how to position for those people. So definitely you have to know also your competition. So you have to research your competition as well to see how they are reaching out to your niche, how they are communicating with your niche as well. Okay, and you have to stand out by using different messages. Now, the different messages that you are going to select are going to be based on your marketing approach. How would you best appeal to your market segment? Okay, but it is all based on your true essence and your content. So the most important, again, I'm going to repeat, is for us to understand, after we identify the target segment, which is, we define it by age group, we define it, definitely, first of all, we define it by our coaching profession. What are we going to specialize in? Are you a leadership coach? Are you a wellness coach? So what is the category that you want to target? And then you start going into dissecting this target market. In which market I want to reach? Is it global or in a specific market? And if it's a specific market, what kind of profile I want to talk to? What is the age group? What are the demographics? What are the psychographics behind it? Okay, what are the key elements that represent these people? Okay, what are the criteria that represent these people? Once you identify them, it is important to ask yourself, this target segment, how do they communicate? what kind of technology they rely on. Okay, how do they do their own research? And this is where you will be able to select what is the best medium for you. There are many people, for example, that LinkedIn and Twitter does not provide them the feedback they want. There are many professions as well. If you are not talking about a person or for example, as a company, not even as a personal brand, you would see that, for example, now investing on SEO would be a good way for you to reach your target segment, because it depends on the way they do their research. So it's important that we highlight that there is no best way that fits all or fits all sizes. It all depends on your target market behavior and the power of your content. Give an example: if you are active on social media and you do not have rich content, with time you start losing weight and losing presence, because people will shy away from your messages. If you keep bombarding them, for example, with written high text, no interaction, for example, no GIFs, no videos, people will start shying away from your messages because they do not have much time to spend on reading a lot. Last but not the least is to give some advice on your landing page. I'm sure that most of the people, when they see personal branding, they would go on developing their personal websites. One good element or message I came across is that says that 92% of the website visitors will never come back again to the site, are likely not to come back to the site that they visit. Okay, so what does this mean? This means it's very critical that your website is designed in a way that will allow you to convert the visitors into actual leads. Okay, so there are some key elements that you need to do in order to have an effective website. Okay, for example, before you finalize the design, or actually if you can base it in the initial stage of designing your website, is ask yourself a few questions and put yourself in the mind of your client. Okay, the people who are going to research you. Who is the person behind the service? So your website has to have a section about who is the person behind the service. Okay, make sure that it reflects your expertise, because people are going to see, do you have the expertise to help them? Are you a specialist in the field? Do you have a track record? So make sure that there is an element, an area where you are able to reflect your track record. What makes you better than others? Now, in this point, what makes you better than others, definitely I would advise you to make it not in a definitely a flagrant way, but you make it in a subtle way that people, when they read, they will know, okay, what is your added value and the impact. And this is, you will see here, while designing your website, why it's important that we have done the previous exercise, why it is important that you outline your true strengths, why it is important that you take away your weaknesses and not to highlight them here, or not to claim an area where people will contact you now and you are not ready with. Okay, your values, the impact. Okay, all of this reflect itself here in your key messages. Another question that you need to make sure that it is answered is to have a direct contact. Will people have a direct contact with you or not? Okay, a piece of advice is don't shy away from showing your picture on your website, because 39%, it will generate, as research says, 39% more inquiries if you show yourself on your website. Last but not the least is to have a clear call to action. A clear call to action will allow you to generate faster leads, because they will not wait until to go to the contact page. So make sure that you have contact conversion call to action buttons in different segments or different areas within your website. Okay, the last section that I would like to cover is actually what I try to advocate with most of our coaches and colleagues that we have a discussion with. And I had a discussion with few of them here in Lebanon, and I saw most of them were actually highly capable. However, their fees are not reflecting the image they are showing. Now, you might ask now why I'm mentioning this here in this presentation. because as we said, it has to be consistent. As we said, it has to all relate to to itself. Your positioning, the image that you reflect in your market, to your target segment, has to, all the dots have to connect. And one of which is your fees. You cannot, like I have a certain coach here, a lady coach in Lebanon. She's claiming to be one of the top coaches possibly in the world. Okay. And she has high frequency of communication with her target population. Okay. However, when you come and check with her fees, you see that her fees are actually very low. Okay. And this is not consistent with all the investments that she reflects to the people, that she has invested in many certifications. She has invested in her company a lot. Okay. And while talking to her, I saw that it is not intentional. Okay. She is not claiming her true worth. Okay. And I always advocate that people have to claim their true worth. Okay. Now their true worth does not mean that if you select to charge low fees, this does not mean that the person himself, if I charge low fees, that means that I myself is low or not experienced. No, I'm not saying this. I'm saying you have to make sure that before you put your message across, make sure not to oversell yourself. Okay, if you put yourself in a way, position yourself in a way to reflect high fees, for example, people might run away while your fees are low. And this is what was happening with that lady. Now, what goes beyond that is that this lady was facing internal fears of not knowing that she can really stand out in the market and claim premium packages. Okay, because all her mindset was rotating around the hourly fees. And at this point, I would like to conclude by recommending that once you start looking after your positioning, about your price positioning in the market, or how you want to structure your fees, the best way to blend it is to go for packages and not to go for hourly fees. Packages will allow you higher value contracts. It will allow you more longer term contracts with your clients, rather than hourly fees, which can be easily challenged. Thank you all for being a great listening audience, and I would now leave it open for any questions that you might have.
Okay, Ihab, you might just want to stop sharing, and then I can put everybody on the screen.
I am looking at it now. Okay. Okay. So I hope that I didn't take much long in this presentation, and I would love to receive some feedback from you if you find an added value in this presentation, or if you have any question.
Hello, Ihab.
Yep.
This is Martine.
Yeah,
nice
hi.
to see you again.
Hi, Martine. Yeah, nice to see you too.
Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with us. It was very instructive, very well structured. And I gather that you are doing this with your own clients. You are taking them through this whole process.
Yes.
I'm wondering, how do you manage the step where people tell you, well, they do not know what their unique passion is?
Okay. So if we are, your question is, let me see if I hear you well. The question is, if I'm applying this process with one of my clients, and we reach the passion section, and they do not identify, or they cannot identify their true passions.
When unique, I mean, something that would be so overwhelmingly unique compared to, I mean, people may have multiple or pursue multiple, maybe not passions, then interests.
Well, honestly, if I would answer swiftly on this, honestly, I would definitely rely on our coaching approach, and I would go with some set of powerful questions where we go in a discovery session, okay, with the client, after taking definitely their permission to take a deeper dive, have a discovery about their life, go backwards about things that as I mentioned positively, that makes them positively tick, visit areas where they were actually experiencing a rush, a positive rush when they were actually applying that, whether certain topics, certain projects, trying to go and visit certain places in their lives and try to brainstorm with the client on different areas and check in with the client. And definitely here where we apply the scaling as well is to check in with the clients. What is he experiencing at this moment while he's placing himself in such areas? Some people will, once they start going back in memory about things that have happened in their lives, previous projects, previous topics that incite them, they gain a little bit more insight about what they are passionate about. Once you ask them about their reading list, for example, if I'm talking about certain topics, if they want to select certain topics. I had this with a client who was not able to identify the true segment. He is actually a multi-versed, a multicultural gentleman, has a quite good background in business and in life. He's around close to 50, 57 years old. This gentleman was trying to develop a new career for himself. And one of the areas was that he was truly, he saw that everything was equal for him. Okay, that he likes to support people, he likes to support executives, he wants to work with everybody holistically. And yeah, one of the things that we agreed together is that it was too open of a message. What we did is we started exploring his reading lists, and that's why I'm mentioning this example, is when we started reading his research list and looking at his reading list, every time we select a certain topic, even though he's well-versed in those areas, his true passion was across business, and you can see it in his eyes, and he was experiencing it in his body. So this is one area where we can identify their true passions. I hope I answered.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I was just wondering if I could share something just based on your question, Martin. What I love to look at is getting our clients to look at their life or your life so far as a training ground, training you for something that you were meant to help people with. So what I mean by that is looking at all of your experiences, all of your values, and really reflecting back on everything that you've done. And based on that, what would seem obvious to you? And that might help assist with that purpose, or that purpose that you were talking about, Ihab.
So I don't know if I got you right. Is the question is about me after I look at my background and doing this exercise on myself?
It wasn't a question. It was just based on what Martin was asking about. How do we know what our point of difference is, or what our purpose is when it comes to helping our clients and niching ourselves in the market?
Yes.
And something I just wanted to share was, I guess for myself, when I look back on my experiences, something that I found difficult was balancing life and career. And so I ended up figuring out how to find that balance. And so my niche is helping executive women to balance their life in heels. So my coaching program is Balancing Life in Heels.
Wow.
Thank you.
So that's, yeah.
Thank you. So I'd like to add on to what Ihab and Sarah to make it like very tangible. So you will not find your purpose in the first moment. Your purpose is discovered as you engage in your mission, which is what Sarah mentioned. One way to know about your purpose is understand your mission. What drives you every day to solve something? That must be something that you're crazy about, or you are trying to make sense of it for yourself. Okay, that is your mission or your vision. That means, what do you see? Well, some people It's great if you can have a mission and a vision, but to get your purpose statement, it must be a reflection of what you see. And what you see is not about futuristic. What you see is about what you want to give. You know what I mean? What do you see yourself giving to other people? And what do you see people receiving from you as a result of you doing your mission? So understand how the two come together. So when you can put the content about what you want to do as a mission, like Sarah, she see herself trying to, finding the balance in the midst of all the busyness. So she is on a mission to resolve something, and that's makes very authentic, and that makes your message very powerful because you figure it out yourself. You're trying to do something, you figure it out, and that allows you later on to come up with a unique program because you are on a mission to resolve something and you're selling something that you have personally went through. Now, having a mission is not enough because it has to be loud, powerful, and that's where your vision comes in. Now, vision is as simple as what do you see people receiving from you and what do you see you giving to people? That's all. And once you're able to figure them out, then the purpose becomes your mission and vision. You never see any organization give you a purpose statement, right? They only give you a mission statement or the vision statement. Yeah, it's kind of like, purpose statement. I'm just trying to think who give a purpose statement now. People give you a mission or a vision. So that is how it works. And another very interesting thing that I thought is worth sharing is as you build your personal brand, I think most of the context where all of you are coming is more in terms of setting a business. So you need to be very clear at the onset. Are you building a brand around your name, or are you building a brand around your organization? There is no right or wrong here. It's really up to your own positioning. You have to decide, is it your company that you're branding, or is it your name that you're branding? So what's the difference? Yeah. What's the difference? Anyone?
Yeah, I think when you do it around your your company, it gets more unpersonal, and you can give way more of yourself when you do it around your own name, and people perhaps can relate more to it. It's one idea.
Yep. That is that part where how people want to relate, but there's a bigger piece out there. When you want to start to build your business and you have to make a brand, will you make a brand out of your company, or you would want to make a brand out of your name? You got a choice point to make here. Some choose to brand their names, some choose to brand their companies. So how would you make your own choice?
I am actually right now at that step.
Yeah. So what's your choice point for you to decide? Brand my name or brand my company names?
Just the feedback that I got so far from people drove me actually in that direction. Because I say I would, for example, for me, that I would do it in a very, very personalized way and customized way. So I thought, why make it just a company name and not me, myself? I am giving something directly, making it much more one-on-one than the detour of some abbreviations in a company name or something like that.
That could be one way. What other possible contexts can we draw out as to help you to make sense as you start to make this your first step in building a business and building a brand? How would you choose to brand your company or your personal name? Like, for example, I would like to use Sarah as an example. And that was about what I want to share with her in person. But since we are on this discussion, you know, Sarah owns a company called Empowered Leadership. She also represents CMA as a director of training, and very likely we will set up an academy in New Zealand where she can operate in that front. But in her private practice, I will advise, I will advise Sarah to brand her name, Sarah, and her full name, and then go to a good studio shop and take a nice like Oprah Whitney photo and then brand her name there. Why? Because she already have two companies that offer certain services for certain leadership training and whatever that is. But that is her private practice. And she has come to a point where she has arrived, you know, in building a platform for herself. She has all the credentials, she has all the experience, she has found her mission, she has found her visions, and she can deliver that result for her client. So in that regard, brand your own name, because this is who you are. That is what you represent. And your environment has arrived whereby you can have other two companies to deliver the outcome that you wanted, like training people. Now you can use Empower Leadership to deliver workshops because it's more for corporate objectives that she's reaching. She wants to train coaches, you can use Director of Training for New Zealand Coachmasters Academy to do that. But she has a private practice. So in that regard, it's better to have her own name for her private practice. Make sense? So just brand your name. Brand your name so that people know Sarah is helping people, executive ladies, to find balance. Because of the context that I mentioned, it's better to brand a name. Make sense? Now, maybe I'm just beginning. I just in my coach training program, I just came out from my corporate life. I'm new in the whole field of making a business. I'm just testing it out. In that context, which one would you brand?
Company.
Precisely, you got the point.
I'm not sure about it.
Yes, yes, you brand your company, and then you offer a much more broader services through a company, and then you can get a few friends to be part of the consortium or part of the panels or part of the team. So collectively, you know, you can come in and then you're branding the company, something external to offer a service until you get the footing. Because as part of the branding, it has to be loud. It has to be something, to be loud, you had to be very comfortable in that skin. See what I mean? So in that case, you might want to find an appropriate name to represent your vision and your mission for the company. It's actually your vision and your mission, but it's just like, I'm just testing it out. And you know, so it's better to externalize it. Or empowered leadership. You know what I mean? Oh, empowered leadership. Or like, for example, when we first started the academy, we call Life Coach Academy. For me, preferably for me, I would not want to brand my name, mainly because that is my personal preference that I choose not to. Okay, so that is just my personal preference. Okay, I don't feel comfortable in that skin. Okay, so I prefer, and that's part of me. You know, it's never about me, it's about us. So that's my own personal position. That's why in all the companies that I set up, you know, it's never about branding band's name, because I always have this idea that I'm selling the company and I'm going to sell it away. So I'm not going to sell my name away. I mean, oh, by the way, you build companies to sell company. You know what I mean? You don't. Okay, some of you don't, but I do. So I build a company and I sell the company. So it never makes sense to me that I would like to sell my own name to somebody. See my point? And I'm not talking about multi-million dollars company or whatever that is. I'm just talking about some decent company that will continue a legacy in terms of what it offers and in terms of its mission and in terms of its visions. So we set up Success Motivation in Kazakhstan and we just successfully sell it away with all the programs intact and whatever system intact. And we just sell it away. And I'm a Life Coach Academy started off with the same idea. It's all about because change is possible. That's what we want to offer to the academy, is to sell a vision that change is possible, and the program is designed to inspire hope for people to take the personal leadership and then move on to create the kind of change they want. So it's about the mission and the vision that we're selling. So it's about branding a company that has a DNA in terms of the mission and vision. So it's easier in that regard to externalize it and then use that as a platform for you to deliver the outcome that you are personally passionate about. Make sense? So it's a very critical point for you to decide. Either you brand your name or you brand the company with a very strong vision and mission statement. If you're going to brand it under your name, make sure that your values is aligned with the entity that you set up with, because at the end of the day, you represent the company, and when people look at you, they don't look at it as a company, they look at it as your values. So people are buying the service because of who you are, what you stand for if you're branding it under your name. Okay, hope that make it easier for you. But some of you might be in your skin, you want to brand your name. By all means, Trisha. Trisha. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice name, Trisha Pang, life coach for something. Or David. You know what I mean? Then you add something to make it look nicer, because David kind of like you have to make it more beautiful in terms of aesthetics. Yeah, I mean, by all means. And then you deliver that under your name. So it's a choice point that you had to decide. Okay, good. Back to you, Ihab.
Well, great. Thank you, Ben. Actually, just to share a little bit about the question about the passion, and to build on what you said, is for me, going back to the question, when I realized what I'm most passionate about, it was a surprise to me, because it wasn't an intended exercise. It was a feedback that I got. That's why you saw me stressing the validation, because I was in the corporate world, and I was traveling between Middle East and Asia and India subcontinent. And even though I was quite good in what I did, and I thought that I want to continue in the corporate world in business development, sales and marketing, business development, the feedback that I got from one of the regional managers I had was, have you seen yourself when you are speaking to the team in a kind of motivational event, or when I drop in when they are having a training? At that point, I didn't even notice that this is what I wanted in my life, because I was so in a rush, never had the chance to sit down and actually do this exercise, never took a moment, almost constantly traveling. So actually, he showed me a video, and this is where I came across about what I'm most passionate about. And then I took a deep dive. It took me 3 months in order for me to create my life purpose, and to take a decision that I want to get out of the corporate world. So this is just to build on and give an example on how you identify your passions. Sometimes it is by taking a step backwards, and looking from a holistic view about your life, and noticing and watching yourself. Where are you really, truly being whoever you would like to be? Coming to the point that, Ben, you were mentioning about a personal brand or a company brand, definitely I second your recommendation, is that especially for people who are just starting now to be present, or even if they have been long in the market but they didn't stand out. Start with your company presence at first, and on the personal side, start with a blog. Start interacting with the online community with a blog, in order to set your tone of voice, to set the approach that you want, see the feedback that people are looking at you. And this can go line in parallel with your company, because you can position yourself. I'm doing this, for example. I have a website and a blog for me, which has just started the blog. Website for me personally, and a website for my company, IB Gears. So the idea is, on the long run, to set yourself as a thought leader. But this will continue with you. And if you reach a point where you have a successful business and you intend to detach from that business and sell it, you wouldn't be selling yourself you will be maintaining your presence, and this will continue with you for life. And whatever you set as a thought leader, you will be able to continuously endorse your other company. So if you have a company and you have your own personal presence, your personal presence will always endorse the business in your company, and you can route leads to the company as well.
Agree.
So I hope that we didn't talk much. Anybody else have a question or you would
No
like to
problem.
share?
I think Ihab is okay. We can continue to share, and some of them I'm sure that they will value a lot from our experience. There's one more thing I'd like to add on that is based on what my experience with Julia. Julia, is it okay that I share with them about the life coach moving on to Coach Masters Academy?
Sure, sure.
Good. One of the very important thing in building your personal brand let me just share a context, and then I bring to you the point that I want to emphasize, which is very important. A practical step is when we first started the academy, I still hold on to I'm a Life Coach Academy that was built in Kazakhstan. And then Malaysia was among the first place that we launched our program. And during that time, Julia was kind of like struggling a lot. Like she just suffered in silence, because at the back of her mind, she was saying, I'm not a life coach. I mean, I'm not trying to offer life coaching, but no, we are not. We're offering transformative coaching. Then Julia's mindset was, but the name is called I'm a Life Coach. When people look at the message or the company, the logo, they will think otherwise. Now, the point is this. In building a plan, and the lessons that I learned that leads to the point is this: you need to find a very good, honest friend who will tell you the truth. So create whatever name you want to create, all your vision statement, your purpose statement, do whatever you want to do, have it printed out, and then go to your real friend and just tell them, ta-da, what do you think? And then be prepared to accept what they say. Because I resisted for almost a year, right, Julia? 2 batches, right? Even David was graduated from I'm a Life Coach Academy. Oh, we got one fruits there. 2 batches, 1 year. I registered for 1 year before I decided to, rebrand it to Coach Masters Academy. So get a good friend, someone who is honest with you, present it to the person and receive their honest feedback. If they say that I don't get it, or it's just saying something, it's not making impact, then receive it and then go back to your drawing board again and rework on the branding, because it does take time, a few draft versions to get a real nice one that really fits in, that you can feel that, yes, I got it. Okay, this is speaking from experience. Had a good friends like Julia who can just feedback to you. And trust me, along the way, I learned to appreciate people like, friends like that who come to you and say, so sorry, I don't get the kind of message that you are intended. Oh, okay. I learned to trust it and say, okay, how did it land for you? What aspect of it caught your attention? And that's where I can get valuable feedback. Remember, communication is about what people receive. It doesn't care what you think it is. If it doesn't get across in the way that people want it, I mean, if this is how it lands for people, that is what has been communicated. Got it? So the logo of the staircase was actually contributed by Julia or one of our program directors, to say that we like the staircase symbols because it shows progressions. And then the door is a way of showing possibility, change leading us to that possibility. And to reach that change, you have to progress up, staircase, So that represents the mastery, the commitments, the effort. And the door represents possibility, which is actually what change offers to people. So that is how CMA comes about. We went through a very long process whereby we get some of these program directors who knows the program, and then to contribute what they like about the logo, what they don't like about it. And that's how we form a image that resonates and fit well into your skin. So get a good friends who can bounce back idea to you regarding your branding that you're trying to create in the first in the first level. Okay, Ihab, back to you.
He's done.
Sorry.
I would no, thank you, Ben, for chipping in and sharing. I would like to see if anybody would like to clarify or ask any question. If there is any point that you would like us to clarify further. Anybody would like to share in?
Quick, come on, use this opportunity to squeeze out from Ihab what his personal journey so that you don't have to repeat the same thing. Yeah, just ask him.
Hello, Ihab. Can I ask a question? Thank you so much for the lovely presentation. And it is amazing to know so many things because I'm still working on my website. And there were so many things that I didn't know. So thank you so much for this presentation. There is one question that is coming into my mind.
Yes,
it's
please.
about the SEO as a tool to market the brand and also the services. So I just want to know how long does it take for a new brand to, to be established in the market, and how, normally how long it will take before we start getting the leads and we start moving on to the, the responses that we want to get through SEO as a, as a tool for marketing.
Okay. So thank you for sharing this question. This is an important question that will help you to stand out. I will answer your question in actually two parts: standing out and versus SEO. Now let me clear first your first section, which is related to the SEO. Search engine optimization is actually a quite complex aspect of online marketing, and that's why you need to work with specialized personnel or agencies who specialize in this field. And you have to understand that SEO, if you want to build a proper presence, it has to mature organically with the right support. That means any person who is trying to build your SEO, you should verify on the previous accounts that they have worked on, because there are many who can create for you a false presence, okay, by using what we call a kind of black ops marketing. And Google actually, because of their continuous research on the crawling formulas behind Google search engine, actually they spot and identify such efforts, and sometimes they push you down or they block you. Later on, it requires too much of work. However, if the agency who's holding your account have a pure understanding about your objectives and your target market and about your efforts, and they help you in developing proper content, you start seeing the first results after 6 months. That's from the usual experience that I see. I'm sure our friends and colleagues here will share with us their input. But usually, to take a proper mileage, it will take you around a year. Okay, now I'm talking about a presence which cannot be eaten up easily, because if it was done on a wrong premise, not related to your true content and what you are having in your website and what you are advocating in terms of keywords and your future posts as well on social media, if it's all not integrated, later on it will immediately fade. Okay, so it is, if I would say that after 6 months you will start feeling the results, after 1 year you would say that you can judge whether all your efforts were successful or not. Now, for the second part of your question, which is if you allow me to separate them between the SEO and standing out also, because you might start generating leads, okay, much faster than that, okay, through your social media as well. If you are able to link your posts on social media to your website, okay, because as you know, your posts on the social media should not have too much content, for example, that will alienate your target audience. But if you use if you use attractive messages, if you use key points with proper visual designs that can attract, or videos that are educational and can attract people, you link them, okay, by them pressing on this post, it links directly to your website. Now, this will help, number one, in your SEO for sure. Okay, it will allow people to have more idea about you, and by having the action buttons, as we said, the call to action buttons, you will be able to translate those leads directly. If you are having an event or a training, you might, for example, have a Facebook landing page for it, where people can just click, immediately go to that landing page and start registering for that event as well, which is rather than taking them back to your website, you keep them in Facebook, but it goes to your Facebook landing page. This all translates into faster leads. I have experienced, before I started seeing results, and I'm still at the, for example, in one of our companies, it is still at the early stage in terms of SEO and the optimization that we are using, because now we are changing a little bit of the content. But we have received lots of leads because of Facebook, okay, and because of LinkedIn as well. Okay, so you are able, until you have this time to, it's a continuous effort. You have to invest behind it, but you have to be patient for the SEO. But there are other ways you can generate faster leads as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ihab. Thank you. Does
Welcome.
make sense. Yeah.
Most welcome. Thank you for asking.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. No, now, I am an educator. I'm a adult educator, and my expertise or my passion is to give second chance learners a second chance to life. So the clients, or you could say my students, the students who I teach, have dropped out from school or from our ex-drug addicts, or have come back on payroll. So my thing is, how do I market myself? Because I know what I'm doing is empowering them, I'm coaching them, but I'm not really sure how do I go ahead and market myself, because I do have the clients, but my clients will not have the potential to pay me the money. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of stuck between what I love to do, what I want to do, and what I have to do in order to sustain into what. So I'm really confused between these two things. How will I build my brand? How I may get clients, but what do I do with them? Because I'm not going to get paid, because they can't afford to pay me. So how do I work in this scenario?
Okay, so let me see if I hear you right, because or allow me to rephrase a little bit your question, and you can verify if I got you right.
Yeah.
So what I see here is your question is more directed as how can I monetize, how can I reap the benefits of the services,
Yes.
rather than how I can market myself, because I heard you saying that I already have the clients. So this means you have already the reach, correct?
Yes, I'm already coaching students. I'm already helping them to achieve their goals, but not monetarily, just out of my passion.
Yeah. Well, my advice in this area, and it is one I'm going to share with you offhand, one of the things that can be outlined as a strategy is definitely, it touches on personal branding and reaching out. On personal branding, you have to package your what you do, okay, and the impact that you are having, because what you are doing really has a great impact on society. Okay, build it in within your message and package it right. Develop your website and your brochures in the right way, building on the impact that you will be having on society, and showing all this charity work and this giving back to society that you have done so far. Mm-hmm. But this is as in terms of a message. Now, in terms of monetizing it, what I advise you is the first and the quickest thing that you can do is to start researching who are the NGOs and the government institutions that actually support such programs, okay? And start working your network, going to such events and contacting them directly, and presenting what you do to them and showcasing what you have done so far. Show them your added value, show them your passion, the impact that you can have, and actually support their programs. One way to do that is you take them one at a time. You research them. You see where they are heading, what type of message they have, how do they deliver their services, and you actually then go to them once you study how your message and their message are aligned. Go to the services, see, because most of the NGOs actually, even they are non-profit, but what they do is they get funds from companies, and they actually bring coaches, external coaches, and they pay them the fees. Okay, we have here, for example, one of these NGOs, which reached out to all of us, all the coaches in Lebanon, by sending a message that we are funded by the UN, and what we want is for coaches to support us in enhancing or supporting the refugees from Syria. Okay, another one is for people who are facing, after they come out of imprisonment, to make that to fit better in with society. So actually, these NGOs paid us. The second point I recommend for you is you actually study the CSR programs of prominent companies in your country. Okay, companies, you know that they really spend on marketing. Usually they are banks, insurance companies, big FMCG and distribution companies. Okay, and you see what is their theme for this year. If they have any kind of a program of giving back to society, my advice to you is to go there, pitch in your idea, try to see if you can attract them to fund your project, and you might be amazed, by the way, when you present your idea in the right way, they will find that. Excuse me, if somebody's microphone is all right. So you will be amazed by the feedback you will get, and some of them might actually tell you, you know what, we will do this, we will handle the marketing, we will advertise it as part of our total marketing approach, we will build your message within our CSR, and you might create a collaboration with them. These are the two offhand strategies that I would advise you to implement.
All right. I think thank you very much for that advice. I will certainly go ahead and look into it. It's very informative. Thank you.
Great. So I think I just want to emphasize and put into concrete term what Ihab is mentioning. You need to differentiate between personal branding, marketing, and positioning. This is what Ihab is talking about. Now, at the bottom line, your personal branding must be loud in order for you to do marketing and positioning. Now, personal branding means what are you really standing for and what are you offering. That has to be loud and clear. Attracting clients to engage in some form of transaction with you that are called marketing. So don't confuse personal branding with marketing. So if you're talking about personal branding, then blogs and having Facebook will be a much more Facebook social media with you talking about yourself or the programs will be a good platform, and it's cheap. It's basically cost you nothing. Okay, but it allows you to build a solid volume to your personal blog and allows you to crystallize your message very clearly as you begin to talk about what you're passionate about. Remember, you do not know what you know until you talk about it. The same for personal branding. The more you talk about what you're trying to do, the more you become clear. So now that is personal branding. Facebook, social medias, YouTube's, where you just broadcast. Of course, if you want the reach to be massive, then you have to put in investment costs in making sure that Facebook actually broadcasts your posting or your videos. Okay, that allows people to know what your message is and what your uniqueness program is. Now, SEO is one of those many marketing, but SEO is more on the high end, more expensive marketing tool if you have a business entity set up. As Ihab has mentioned, SEO needs certain prerequisites to work. Number one, a mature URL link. So if your URL are just your business website are just recently set up, then it does makes a world of difference. Content management is another key. And having a good provider to manage your SEO certainly makes a lot of sense, but it certainly costs a lot to maintain an SEO. On average, we are talking about easily $250 per month without setting out anything, but just for work is $250. Trust me, CMA runs thousands over dollars every month to maintain our SEO ranking, and it is an ongoing cost. SEO is not a one-time built-in effort. It is an ongoing. Why? Google algorithm change from time to time. Just a recent one, February, it just hit to address some black holes in Middle East, and that's why our whole algorithms ranking is affected. So it takes a technical guy to be able to figure it out. And I was just talking to eHub just last week that, hey, I detected the new bugs and our provider did not detect it. I have to inform our provider to go and fix it up to get the ranking up. And that's a good thing, eHub, the ranking is back again. You know, you had to have technical guy to check the algorithms and make sure it is being fixed. So you get an immature guy, then I'm sure you're going to waste our investment. So SEO are for marketing when your business identity are strong. That if you're building a business branding, personal blogs, and using Facebook to get traffic is the immediate thing that you need to consider. Okay, third one is positioning. Now, you need to understand, well, I know all coaches in training loves to reach out to people, but you need to understand that you need to position yourself either as a charity or as a business. If you're thinking about reaching out with the aim to help people with no intention of making it as a business, then what eHub mentioned to you is important because you position yourself as a charity fund. Then somebody has to fund your work. But as a charity, you are able to fundraise. So you think about fundraising, not about business, building business. Now, what I notice most coaches feel is that they try to run a business, but they actually operate as a charity. And then they are struggling. And so how can I survive to build my passion? But you got your positioning wrong. Because both entity or both platform requires very different skill set and manage it differently. So if you are wanting more to reach out as a primary aim, you have two choices. Either number one, you join an existing social group or an existing agency that has an active marketing outreach to get the clients, and you just a freelance to or no coach to the agency where you can be paid for your service and then do your outreach work. So that is one platform. But if you want to do it on your own, then you have to do what eHub mentioned. You had to get funding. Then your personal branding has to tweet. Your message has to be tweet in terms of you selling a vision. Trust me, in Kazakhstan, how do we manage to build a strong student leadership movement in 3 leading universities with each year 2,000 over students coming for leadership training program and still having 3 trainers being paid to run the program? How do we do that? Very simple. Funding. Set up a strong personal brand. What success motivation is, we are here to motivate people to get success. That's all. Talk about the values, talk about the vision, talk about the strategic time. So that is a message that we had. And what do? Like eHub mentioned, go to look for social responsibility, CSR, and ask company to then, now, if your personal branding is not strong, very likely you will face challenges in your funding. So you had to make sure your personal branding, your website that you put as a blog, your vision statement, mission statement is loud and clear. And please trust me, you had to think about spending money in order to do it. Okay. You need to think about spending money to make money. Make money not in a business sense, but in order for you to get a big return, you had to spend something. Trust me, I've seen enough of coaches, they stinge on their professional image, take their own mobile and make their own selfie. and use that as their professional profile and put it on their website and say, look, this is who I am. Oh my God, it doesn't work. Okay, whatever you're doing, the first impression counts because people don't know you. They are very visual person. They look at whatever that is available in the documents. So you need to invest on a decent professional photos. Get a content writer to help you to polish out your mission and vision statement in a way that is compelling, attractive. Then from that raw content, you can start to do either business or a charity. So if you go for seeking fund, people will take a look at who this organization is, who is the founders, what's their visions. Then they will decide whether it's a worthy cause for them to invest on you. And that is how we get funding from MMC to pay for the kind of social work that we are doing in Kazakhstan with students being sponsored for their leadership training program and then having trainers trained to run the program because they see that as their social responsibility. Make sense? Great. So make your position clear. Are you up to set up as a business or are you setting out to reach out? You can't have the cake and eat the cake at the beginning. You had to decide which one do you want. Unless you are a very seasoned businessman who knows how to set up companies and make it work. If not, otherwise, it's better for you to stick with just one mindset. If you decide to make business out of it, that means you are going to find clients to support yourself and do it on your own, then it's very likely to be a business entity. Then you had to give out trying to be a charitable organization in reaching out the multitude at a very low cost. See the mindset. If you don't tweak this, you will be all asking for pennies. Oh, you can just pay $10 for my 2 hours of coaching. How are you going to survive? If you want to do that, then get fundings. Then you don't have to worry about being paid for your service. Make sense? But you don't want, I don't want to get funding. Then build a business entity. Make sure you are sustainable. Make sure you had a good credential. Do your skills. Do proper investment to get your personal branding up when people feel connected. And then get rid of the mindset that I'm going to charge only $50 for a coaching session. So sorry, that mindset is not going to serve you to build business. If you want to have this mindset, then give up setting up a business. Go and look for funding, because for funding, you're not selling yourself. You're selling a mission. You're selling a vision. It is easier for you to do that route. See my point? Great, thank you. Now we're coming up to the end point. So what we're going to do is, I'm sure that some of you are in the process of setting up a business and you have very practical questions that you would like to ask to get help on. And that is the purpose of why this webinar is designed, is to give you some practical head start in getting your business. So we're going to invite people who might be done and say that I've got what I want in terms of the framework and concept. Then you feel free to leave. But for those who are wanting to exchange on a very practical, concrete way, both myself and EHub will be here to support you. And we don't want to hold up the time for the rest of the people. Okay, so with that in mind, thank you so very much. And thank you, EHub, for sharing such a detailed presentation on the concept. We will be sending the session will be recorded and uploaded to the YouTube. EHub has also graciously and generously give us a PDF. If you need it, please email to info@Coach Masters Academy. Let's say that again, info@Coach Masters Academy, and request for a soft copy of the PDF file, which we will send it to you upon request. With that in mind, please stay tuned to end of the month. We have a webinar talking about something that we never talk about, that is coaching teams. Okay, Jackie and Cecilia will be the presenter for that webinar. They'll be sharing with you on it won't be a conceptual theory presentation, but it's based on their experience, how they have used coaching skills to facilitate team learning. Okay, so it's more of us drawing the experience from them, and then for you to make sense of how you can use the skills that you have learned and apply on a team learning format. Okay, so that is what we're going to have for end of this month. It's going to be at 8:30 Singapore time. Check on the forum. The registration is in the forum, so make sure that the dates is correct. It is on 30th of March at 8:30. So, but anyway, for the specific detail, I need you to verify that at the forum. So, with that in mind, thank you so very much for your time, and I hope that you will find this session, this post-training support, helpful in helping you to put in place your coaching business.